All right, let's talk about Jakobi Meyers of the Las Vegas Raiders, a player that, it was kind of a weird situation where the Patriots ended up letting Jakobi Meyers walk and then paid Juju Smith-Schuster the same amount of money. And I think a lot of people were like, why didn't you just pay Jakobi Meyers that money? Now, again, for all we know, Meyers wanted to play in Las Vegas, which I wouldn't blame him. So it's possible that it wasn't quite the same. But I do think that there was some questions with Meyers of he was essentially New England's number one wide receiver, and he wasn't a great number one necessarily. So I think there was some questions as to how good he was, because I think the Raiders said, well, let's bring him in to be a number two. But I do think it was fair to say, okay, is that going to work out? Is he going to be a great number two, or is he just going to, again, kind of be a bit inconsistent? Turns out he's been a great number two. So let's get into exactly what I like about Meyers. But before I do, just want to mention real quick, I have a movie channel. If that's the kind of thing you're interested in, it's Jackson Kruger Movies. The link is in the description for that. Do some movie reviews and some other kind of movie related topics, like some tier list stuff like that. So if that seems like your kind of thing, check that out. Again, link is in the description. But yeah, let's just get into some Jakobi Meyers film. Let's start off with this play, which is a big, I think, example of what they brought Jakobi Meyers in to do. In New England, he was kind of a number one option, and a lot of times would get double teamed or would get the best corners on him. But now that he's going to the Raiders, obviously Adams is the number one option, and so that means that he's going to get more attention. You're going to get more one-on-one matchups for Meyers against corners that maybe aren't number one corners. So when this play begins, let's see how he's able to handle it. First, you saw how he kind of faked as though he was going more over the middle. That's honestly a lot of what made this play work. The kind of fake as though he's going over the middle, but then he instead cuts towards the outside. He's shifty enough, but also uses his route running in a very, effective way to allow him to just get that little extra step that he needs. And so, while sometimes the best of the best corners aren't going to fall for those little fakes, a lot of corners are going to fall for those little fakes, and now Jakobi Meyers just gets to play against more of those corners who will fall for those things. And of course, he also cuts so well that most teams' number two corner just can't keep up with him. I mean, if we're being honest, most teams' number one corner might struggle to keep up with him, but definitely number two, it's going to be a hard time. This throw, however, is a bit behind and Meyers can't make the grab. I think you could go several ways with this play. You could sit here and say, well, there you go. Jakobi Meyers needs to find a way to make the grab. Julio Jones would have caught it. Okay, well, Julio Jones catches a lot. That's not a fair comparison. To me, I kind of take this the other way, and I do wonder that, with all due respect to Aiden O'Connell, it wasn't always perfect out there. This one's another one where it's going to be just zone coverage play. He's going to try and get underneath the deep corner towards the offense's right. Again, watch the beginning of the route and how he actually gets a little bit slow off the jump, but doesn't show what he's doing, and then boom, cuts over. Corner is now trying to cut in, but it just doesn't matter. There's plenty of time for O'Connell to get the ball over here. Unfortunately, this ball is a bit high, and with these things, you always wonder, was it a communication thing? Was Meyers supposed to cut a little bit later? You never know. But there were definitely moments like this I saw that, hey, who knows? Maybe just O'Connell getting a little bit more comfortable if he's the one who's starting, or, because I still don't know who's going to get the bulk playing time this season, right? I imagine it could shift. One guy could start the year and another guy could end it, right? But still, if he gets better quarterback play, whether that's Minshew or O'Connell just playing better, maybe you could start to see his numbers even improve. I think that's possible. He also does just a lot of stuff like this that's just really fun, where it's going to be, so you see the blocking concept on the screen. It's going to be a wide receiver screen. Okay, simple enough. But for Jakobi Meyers, he is not the one who is going to be getting the ball on this play. At least that's what they want you to think, because Meyers is not just going to be blocking here. That is what Meyers is going to do. He is instead going to run a deep shot after pretending as though he's blocking. Hopefully this can fool the Broncos defense and get him open. Hey, you're down 10 points in the fourth quarter. You need a score here. Let's see if he can do it. Well, when this play begins, again, I love the route running here. I mean, you see that, at no point are you like, oh, he's clearly running, a deep shot. It's really just clever stuff from Meyers, and he kind of understands how to run each route, which is often even more important than how quick you can run it, or how how shifty you are, just knowing how to run it. Because then when he does turn on the jets and get further down the field, Denver does not pick it up. Meyers gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Clever concept for sure, but also just really good stuff from Meyers to be able to pull it off. Everyone always credits the concept. The players have to do it as well, and Meyers was able to do it. And for Meyers, there's also just like a lot more of just more simple things, something like this, where it's going to be a zone coverage play. You see the route that he's running. Okay, simple enough. When this concept begins, you see a Denver player that, it's not a cornerback here. So this is definitely a mismatch for Meyers and a good situation for Meyers over the middle right here. However, you look at Meyers and you still can't help but notice how he's still doing a great job at just not giving away what he's doing. You can't tell exactly what route he's running. And so even though he has a mismatch here, he still is going to do what he can to use every little trick in the book to get as open as possible. So therefore, when he does cut over to, towards the bottom of the screen, he gets really wide open on that play. That was a key third down that they were able to convert right there. So really good stuff there from Meyers to be able to pull that kind of thing off. And these are things he does do very consistently. He did it pretty consistently for the Patriots and definitely for the Raiders. Also, this play was fun. I'm not sure how much we're really taking away from this other than it was just a fun play. I'm pausing it right here to set the situation up. It's a 3rd down and 1. You're going to see that O'Connell hands the ball off to Jakobi Meyers. It's a designed quarterback, it's a designed wide receiver throw, essentially, but it doesn't work out as designed. Denver's all over it. So Meyers is trying to scramble now. That Denver player is paying attention to Meyers and going to try and see if he can, potentially, tackle him before he gets the first down. That's what they're trying to do here. Meyers wants to make sure he gets the first down, but would also love a touchdown. And as you see, he actually makes a nice move and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Is that in many ways just like a fun play? Sure. But it also goes to, it shows his shiftiness and also shows his awareness and shows his just really good understanding of the game, which is probably my favorite thing about Meyers as a player, is just how well he understands the game. And he's incredibly shifty, which makes for a deadly combination. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on him, as I do think that this is something that it's, as a whole, always probably a pretty good strategy to get a good player that, is probably getting asked to do too much for a different team and putting them in a role that actually makes sense for them, and kind of knowing their skill set. It's always very valuable. When we talk about scouting, we often mostly just talk about it in terms of the draft, understanding players that are, good at, good young players. But I think scouting players from other teams when it comes to free agency is another really important aspect of football that often gets a bit overlooked. But often people don't pay attention to that stuff as much. And I think because of that is why, you can have teams paying Juju Smith-Schuster the same amount of money that Jakobi Meyers makes, right? Despite the fact that Meyers clearly seems like the better player, and certainly now seemed like the Raiders did a good job. So, hey, Raiders, haven't hit on everything, but the receivers they've been typically pretty good at these past couple years, and Meyers no exception. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.